So facial recognition has been popping up a lot in the news and in the sphere. Sorry, there's like some cat dander here. My face is a little itchy. So facial recognition surveillance has been sprouting up. Police are using it. ICE is trying to utilize it. There are, not only is it Orwellian and disturbing on a very significant level, but also the software itself is very, very flawed. There's a racial bias in it. It's not always accurate. It's not a good thing. Through and through, no matter which way you cut this ain't a good thing. There have been situations with this over in London, so it's not unique to the United States. Facial recognition is a problem. And here is a former detective admitting that this ain't worth it, admitting that this ain't good. A detective, by the way, somebody whose line of work, if this was actually beneficial, would benefit them in their line of work. He's saying, Let's see what he has to say. Here's his letter. Facial recognition surveillance doesn't necessarily make you safer. Police officers are always in search of the next tool to transform investigations, and as this week's revelations that ICE is searching driver's license databases, many think facial recognitions could be that tool. But as a former homicide detective, I've seen firsthand that rushing to rely on technology without understanding its limits or having robust policies governing its use can be counterproductive and even dangerous. This is a detective saying this. And look at these warnings. Rushing to rely on technology without understanding its limits, in other words, the technology itself is very faulty, or having robust policies governing its use. In other words, we're not looking out for the public's right to privacy and security. If we don't recognize, this is getting back to the article here, if we don't recognize facial recognition's problems and implement policies to mitigate them, the technology will sweep innocent individuals into investigations, undercut police community relations, which, by the way, newsflash, police community relations are already in a pretty catastrophic place, and waste law enforcement resources. Almost any new technology comes with hyperbolic descriptions of what it can do. For police, this can result in investigators mismanaging leads or working backwards to fill in a narrative that fits what their seemingly impartial and authoritative tools tells them, rather than following evidence from the ground up. We've already seen this. In one case, police ignored proper procedure for photo arrays and instead asked an eyewitness, "Is this the guy?" with a single photo obtained from a facial recognition search. This sort of tunnel vision is one of the main drivers of false accusations and wrongful convictions. So here you have a detective, somebody who is on the forefront of this stuff, saying, hey, this technology, it can't really do what we think it can do. What a lot of people are speculating it can do, the technology ain't there yet. It's very faulty. And there's been study after study revealing that to be the case too. This is very faulty software. And it's causing police to misuse it. It's causing other people to misuse it. And I know what you're thinking. A police officer misusing a tool. That sounds very out of character. I know, but bear with me through this fantasy for a little while longer. I know it seems crazy to wrap one's head around. But here you have a former detective. And they're also saying that, hey, we're not looking out for what's really happening here as far as people's safety, as far as people's privacy. We have not done the proper precautionary steps here. Sounds familiar. Sounds like when we had a former oil CEO say that fracking was completely ridiculous and a waste of time and resources. A former oil CEO admitted that. They said, yeah, this is ridiculous. And there's another, for instance, fracking. The proper homework was not done. The proper analysis were not done. Fracking is extremely dangerous for the environment. It's the reason we've been having these earthquakes in California. It's poisoning water wells. It's wrecking people's lands. And it's just padding the pockets of a few CEOs at the very top, where even somebody in the oil industry who was a CEO themselves said, we're losing money. This is bullshit. There's no need for this. They didn't even talk about the environmental disaster that it is. They just talked about the economic implications, which even when you just look at it from the economic endpoint, just put on blinders towards the environment. Even when you just look at it from the economic perspective, it's still a complete waste. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of resources. It's a waste of time. Facial recognition software, same thing. Incredibly faulty, can be misused, setting us up for catastrophic results in regards to people's privacy, in regards to people's just civil rights in general. This opens up a can of worms in regards to police overreaching, in regards to police brutality. And the technology itself ain't there yet. It ain't even good technology. Who's admitting that? A detective. A detective. A detective saying this is bullshit. So there you have it.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your